Staying home, I kind of lost myself. Like, I've always had interests, but they kind of dropped off because I was so busy with, raising children and keeping a household and making meals and taking care of my husband when he comes home from work and things like that. So I did recognize that I lost that. I didn't know how to recoup it. But I think with becoming a flight attendant, I was able to recoup it because I had time to myself. There was no other choice.
Welcome to another episode of the Layover Podcast. My name is Bree, your host, and today we have not just a special guest, because all the guests are special, but a guest who is very near and dear to my heart because she's the reason I became a flight attendant in the first place. Today we have Erin. Hey, Erin.
Hey. What's up?
What's up? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you want to tell the people anything about yourself? How long you been flight attending?
And I've been a flight attendant for 6 years, just this month. So, yep, good gig.
You liking it?
I love it. Couldn't do anything else. I feel like some people are like one way or the other. Either they try it and they're like, yes, forever. Or they try it and they're like, no, not for me.
That's real. What'd you do before you were a flight attendant?
So before I was a flight attendant, I was a stay-at-home mom. Homeschooled my kids. I got 6 boys.
6. That's 6.
It's my little 6-pack.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a little frat house. But yeah, I stayed home. Homeschooled my kids. My husband ended up getting lung cancer, and he had to quit his job. And went through surgery, chemo, radiation, and he's all good now, so that's the good news.
Yes, that is good news.
He had to have, disability for a while, and once he lost it, because he got better, which is what you want to happen, then we were like, oh, someone's got to get a job. So one night, I was going to bed, not even thinking about it, and heard the words flight attendant, and I was like, that ain't going to work. And so, because I kind of knew the idea of like where you're based is where you have to go out of, and most places are based in very big cities that I do not live near, but it was kind of like this fun in my mind, not everybody gets to do it. I don't really pursue crazy things. It's kind of a crazy job. Or it seems that way.
It is a crazy job. I even remember the day I got a text from you. I don't know, maybe we had been texting before, but you were like, I'm going to be a flight attendant. I remember I was on my bed. I looked at that text 3 times. I said, she said she's going to do what? I think all 6 boys were born at the time.
Yes.
So I was like, huh? This is something that I would not have predicted. So
it's very, very different. I think my youngest was 3.
Wow. So you're going to bed, you hear flight attendant,
and I thought, no way, that's not even plausible, and the next day I was kind of looking stuff up and, was finding what I knew, the mainline places are in big cities, and then for some reason I just thought to look up regionals, and, our regional is local, and at the time they were doing training locally, and I was like, oh, I guess it could be a possibility.
So then because training, you're at least... Well, most companies it's 4 to 8 weeks that you're away. How did you manage that with not just family but big family back home? Like how was that? How was training?
Dennis wasn't working at the time.
Oh, fair, yeah.
So he was able to just do everything at home. I think he did take the kids to North Carolina for like a week to spend with his family, so he had help there, and it made it fun for the kids. So, I mean, there's ways to do it. And then I did get permission one weekend to come home for a couple hours because I was driving distance.
Oh, cool.
So I was able to go to like a couple baseball games or whatever. But
right.
For the little ones, it was a little bit harder for them to see me and then me to leave again. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to do a lot of that.
Keep coming back and going and that sort of thing.
I didn't want to make it harder for my husband.
How did you guys get on the same page about that?
I mean, we prayed about it a lot, and we just felt like it was a good next step. I personally am a very independent person, and he's a very grounded person. So, like, growing up, I moved around a lot, and he didn't.
Air Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad was in the military and we moved around. And so we've been in this house since, now, like, what, 16 years?
It's been a minute.
So I get really antsy anyways, and I mean, I was home for years, and he had tried to find a job, and we needed a job with benefits, and obviously you want a job that makes you happy. So we knew it would be really, really rough in the beginning because we're realistic people, we talked about it. It wasn't just something we kind of jumped on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew it would be really, really hard for a while, but that it would be better in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, my husband is a very chill, cool guy, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just the fact that, we talked about it. We talked about the good, the bad, the ugly, but...
And just thinking, like, from that time, you had that idea, flight attendant, like you said, you applied mainline, then you had to wait the 6 months, so you guys were kind of like, you had time to...
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a process. And I got a job in between, like, before that to kind of build my resume and to be able to pay bills. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of nice because, I mean, I was kind of burnt out from being home all the time anyways, so I wasn't mad about having to get a job. And then this allows me to, take time away from home and have my alone time and have my independence and then come home, and we really all kind of appreciate each other a little bit more now.
Mm.
So that's been really, really nice. And I mean, it is nice that they're all boys. So Dennis just has to deal with boys, which is, a little more comfortable for him than if we were to have a daughter, probably.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you were stay-at-home mom for quite some time. Then you worked a little to build your resume as you were kind of looking toward being a flight attendant. What was the transition like going from being stay-at-home mom to going full-fledged working world? How was that?
It was very different. I kind of, as a stay-at-home mom, a lot of times women typically lose their whole identity, or their whole identity becomes just being a mom and a wife. So that was hard. I didn't really have any interests of my own, I didn't feel like I could pursue anything that I enjoyed because I was all encompassed.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of nice. I had to figure out a new balance, but I feel like I'm more balanced now than I ever was before because I know that my time when I'm at home is limited. So I try to really be engaged and helpful, and even find, small moments to spend time with whoever's around for the moment. And so it was very different. I really enjoyed having my own time being at work, especially as a flight attendant, because I had the hotel to myself. And I was able to just kind of mentally disconnect from being at home and to trust my husband with what was going on in the home. And I tend to take control when I get home, so it was a lot better for me to just be like, oh, well, what does Dad do when I'm not here? And so I think it really helped kind of balance out home duties and relationship. And I also recognized that, like, when I came home, like, I didn't want to be the person that was like, oh, I'm too tired to help, I wanted to, sometimes when I get home, I have to take a nap initially and 100%. Be like, okay, I need a nap real quick and then I'm going to be fine. Mm-hmm. But I jump right in, I feel like we're just me and my husband are more of a team, and, the kids miss me, I miss them, we appreciate each other more, so it's been a good transition. I mean, obviously in the beginning it was very different and hard and more physically demanding, things like that, but it's definitely been good for us.
I heard you say that you were feeling burned out of being at home. How is it that, because some people would think this would burn you out, going to work, bringing home, but instead it's like having what you said, the balance of being away and being back how is, like, you're not burning out from that?
I just recognize the time for what it is. When I'm at work, it's, I work hard, but then I do have time to myself. If I want to go get some sort of fancy food that I don't ever get to get, or if I want to go for a hike nearby, or if I want to go to the movies, or whatever it is, or if I just want to sit in my room and read a book. Mm-hmm. Like, that's my time. And so I think mentally when I come home, I'm like, oh, I've had my time. So now this is my family's time. I think I spend a lot better time with people now because it's more intentional and because I don't have... You have to be intentional with your time when it's so limited.
What does being intentional mean to you?
I think it just means, kind of being fully present, like not thinking about everything. As you saw a couple minutes ago, as things pop into my head, I just kind of write them down because I do have a lot of responsibilities. I have a lot to get done, but I don't want that to fester in my mind when I'm trying to actually be fully present with someone and have a conversation or spend time with people. Like to just jot it down real quick and be like, oh yeah, there's my list. I'll get to it when I have the time. If I sit down with a boy and he's telling me about his day or they bring a girlfriend over, to be able to stop and give them my attention, and not just to be so... I think today's day and age, especially, everybody's multitasking. And to an extent, we have to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think really slowing down, and I've learned that too with being a flight attendant, even with doing beverage service, looking people in the eye and being intentional about that, because it's so easy.
Those little things.
I'm so task oriented anyways. So I have to kind of pull back and be like, okay, yes, I can get my tasks done, but I can take an extra moment to make sure I'm looking somebody in the eyes, because I think that means a lot to people.
I really see you as an example of... I know people talk about work-life balance a lot, and there's the question, can modern women have it all? Can you have a family? Can you have a career? And you're doing both, and you're using some of these strategies to do it. But not only do you have a family and a career, but you have a family with 6 boys. So that's on one extreme. And then your career is to be a flight attendant. So literally to be away on a regular basis. And you've mentioned balance a couple times, and I'm just wondering, from where is the balance coming? How?
I think I just had to figure it out over time. It's funny, I'm not really an extreme person. I'm very much a safe...
Interesting.
I'm very much
very interesting you say.
So weird, right? That makes no sense. But I, all my life, I make safe choices and responsible choices. And if I would have stopped at even 4 kids, I could manage pretty well. It was close. I was on the brink. Of breaking at 4. But 5 and 6, I can't manage it. I absolutely cannot. But it taught me how to recognize that I couldn't control it all. And to just be able to do my best when I can. I probably wouldn't have learned that if I had 2 or 3 kids. I would still be able to control it all, or feel like I could control it all.
Right.
It would be a lot easier, but I think that pushed me beyond to be okay, I've got to just manage what's in front of me right now. So I think that's one thing. I think too, over time, I did recognize that I didn't really have anything of my own, anything I was interested in, especially as staying home, I kind of lost myself. I've always had interests, but they kind of dropped off because I was so busy with, raising children and keeping a household and making meals and taking care of my husband when he comes home from work and things like that. So I did recognize that I lost that. I didn't know how to recoup it. But I think with becoming a flight attendant, I was able to recoup it because I had time to myself. There was no other choice. Even if they called me from home and they're like, hey mom, I have this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm in a different state. I can't, you have to go to dad.
Right.
So it's helped me, it helped me to be oh, okay. I can still work on things from the hotel room, meal planning and, calling doctor's offices and things like that. But it's not so in your face with everything.
Right.
That it helped me to be able to realize what my interests are and to not be, to not, what is the word? To not feel bad about it, to be okay with it, because I do, I love serving people and I love giving to people, but that can become, where you completely lose yourself. Yeah, you totally get lost. And over the years, like, I think I tell people too, you know, Dennis has been really big into music and baseball, and I've always supported him with that. Mm-hmm. So I think that really helped in the transition, where when he stayed home with the kids, that he wasn't totally lost. He's had this music and baseball for, years and years and years, where I've always encouraged him at it. And so it wasn't like he was just like, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home dad. Like, he still got to do baseball, still got to do music. That was still a part of him. And now it was kind of my turn to find what I enjoy. And he supports me with that. Like, if I'm home and I'm like, I want to go on a hike down the street, he'll be like, okay, you know. He's totally cool with it. You know, if this month after Recurrent, I'm gonna, you know, they just deadhead us home, so I'm just gonna go up to Tennessee where my sisters are and stay with them for a couple of days. You know, he's very, and I don't take advantage, I don't do it all the time, but he doesn't hold me back from it. So he's encouraged me to be able to be who I am, because he knows I'm mindful. He knows I think of the family. He knows that I'm not just running away. Yeah. So I think it definitely is a combined effort. And I've had a wonderful husband who is very encouraging and kind.
If you were going to give a new flight attendant some advice on how maybe they have a family and they want to be a flight attendant, or they're thinking about having a family, or they just have other hobbies that they're interested in, how would you advise them on keeping their balance with being away from home and then having things at home that they have to tend to?
I would definitely say you need a good support system, which a lot of people will tell you, which is absolutely true. It's a hard job to do with relationships. And if you don't have a strong relationship, whether it be, you know, a friend that's really there, like a sister or a brother that can help you, or, you know, a spouse, you have to be on the same page. People think it's an awesome idea to date a flight attendant or be in a relationship with a flight attendant, and they don't understand how hard it is on the person that's left. So Dennis doesn't have a lot of support, which is funny because there aren't a lot of like flight attendant husbands, right? But our relationship was strong enough, and we communicated enough beforehand that we were both cool with what it was. And I was, you know, if it wasn't going to work out, like, we're both willing to say, hey, this isn't working. This isn't working for us. You are going to miss things, especially in the beginning. And just my whole relationships in life have changed, you know. When I was a stay-at-home mom, you know, all my friends were like stay-at-home moms, you know. And so I don't feel like I really fit in anywhere anymore. I feel like people don't understand our schedule, or they assume certain things about our job. Like, oh, can you just get a layover here for 2 days? It's like, that's not how it works. Right. I wish I could. Right. But I think I make the effort sometimes I'll change my schedule so that I can see my sisters. Like, I have a layover near them, or my parents, or I have cousins in different areas where we stay over. So sometimes I do that, and that's really kind of fun. Sometimes you can't, but I also would just be honest with yourself. And when you get into this job, just communicate extra with people. Like, communicate when you're struggling. I communicate that with Dennis. Like, hey, I'm feeling really lonely tonight, you know. I love to be alone, but sometimes I'm in my hotel room and I'm like, I'm really lonely tonight, you know. It's weird. It's weird. It's a weird emotional roller coaster. And I mean, for the most part, I absolutely love it. But we have just weird moments. Some days are crazier than others. And I'm closest to aviation people now. Like, those are my people. And they're the only ones that understand, you know, the craziness that goes on out here. Yes. But even that's really hard, you know, because, you know, not all of them have a whole bunch of kids at home and understand that. Some of them do have marriages, but they're in bad marriages. So it's just a very interesting realm that you have to be aware of. It's not as amazing as, you know, everybody says on TV and all this stuff. But I think just the more when you're out here and you're talking to people in the field, and if they're being honest with you, you make great connections with people.
That's true.
And I mean, people are awesome. People are amazing. And, you do find the right people, but yeah, you have to make sure that, I don't know, you got the tough skin for it. It's different.
That's real. It's definitely different from any other kind of schedule I've ever kept in my life. Ever. Because it touches everything else, because it just takes your availability. So you kind of, that intentional thing is right on.
I think I mentally, every time I've gone in to work, because our schedules are crazy, especially in the beginning, when you're on reserve.
That reserve thing is something else.
It's totally whole new ball game there. I mentally just, in my mind, I always just told myself, I'm clocking in and I'm at work until I'm clocked out.
That's it.
Because
whatever else they said, I'm going this place, I'm just here to do what needs to be done, which is be here.
When I touch back down into base and I call out and I get released,
then I'll be home.
Then I'm clocked out. And that helped, I think, me and Dennis both. Because we had a crazy time when they were moving our days off around and stuff. Yeah. And I worked through COVID and all this crazy. And I would say, bye, honey, I'll see you when I get home. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, eventually we get home.
Woo! Yeah. Yeah.
It's a mental game, man. It's good.
That's real. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Do you have last words? You good? Yeah.
I don't have no last words.
Okay. Well, I loved it. You guys heard it. This is Erin. And you know me. So we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much for listening. If you like this, don't forget to press the like button, comment, and subscribe. This week, reach out to someone who you think will be in your support system as you become a flight attendant. And remember, sometimes you have to lay over to go further.